on this episode of In the Rack Podcast.
Maybe some of the insecurities that you have as a female about being maybe judged by whether it's either other females or males, as to what you look like in the gym, right? I know Katie started wearing some of my t-shirts now because she doesn't want to, show off her muscularity. And hey, what you got?
Welcome to In the Rack Podcast, where we provide you with a practical framework for breaking PRs in all facets of health and wellness. We are just a couple of bros giving you the simple hows in a world of complex whats. No filters, no scripts, no rules, just straight talk. Talk to 'em. Now, let's get into the rack with your hosts, Dr. Chad and Dr. Nick.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of In the Rack Podcast. A little different today. I've got a few guests with me today. No Nicholas. Nicholas is not here. He was not invited. And I only have 4 headsets, so that's another reason why he wasn't invited. So I've got 3 amazing women with me today, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, what's going on in the industry, what's going on with women today, the struggles that they face, but also learn about these 3 awesome women and what they do. They've got a lot of valuable information. And for this conversation, I know it's been a long time coming, and I this kind of came up more or less when Katie was going through her transformation. Katie's my wife. She was going through her transformation. A lot of people started asking questions, and I'm like, this would be a really good podcast to kind of go through. A lot of people have these questions. Katie was going through certain things. I'm like, this might be a good thing to talk about, especially if there are other people going through it. Maybe it can be relatable for some people. And then talking with you guys, because you guys are in the industry. You guys have been in the industry for a long time. So with me, I have Stacy Roderick. So Stacy is a PTA in the area. She's also now a massage therapist licensed. She's licensed both, but she's also competitive not competitive. I don't want to say bodybuilder. You're a competitive physique pro in OCB, correct?
Figure and physique.
Oh, figure and physique. Yeah. Awesome. So Stacy's been in it for a long time. Maggie is with me as well. Maggie owns Maggie Suits. And she not only did my trunks, but she did Katie's suit. Did she do your suit? And Stacy's suit. So I figured she's worked with all of us in some way, shape, or form, and works with a lot of people in the area as well as globally. So we're going to talk about that with Maggie. Maggie is also was also a competitive figure pro IFBB.
Fitness.
Fitness. Damn it. Okay. Yep. I didn't do very good research on this one.
That's okay.
NPC lied to me. So she's in it. Like, she's been to the highest level, if I can say that. And so she can really give us a lot of information about what was going on in the industry, what is currently going on in the industry, stuff like that, especially with women when they're in a relationship. And Katie, my wife, is a now competitive physique competitor. She did her first show it was October of last year. We did the Maine Muscle Classic, and we had a blast. She's all into it now. And so I really wanted to take this time to kind of go over all of the things that these women are facing from day to day, whether it's insecurities, whether it's self-doubt, the pressure that they face, and actually, we can even talk about what it actually takes to step on stage if there are people that are listening that might want to do that at some point in time. So if I'm being honest, I think that most people, when they see strong women, they don't always know how to process this. Like, oh my God, I see a muscle with women with muscles. What's going on here? You know what I mean? And I think some people, in my opinion, that says more about them than it actually says about the women that's putting in the work, because I do believe that, some of these guys have some insecurities when they're saying some of this stuff. But for me personally, I think it's more inspirational to see a woman that's like jacked or shredded or doing her thing in the gym. I think it's really cool. It also probably is the reason why I have mainly women coaches, because that's what I do. I just feel more inspired by what they do. I know that it's not as easy for women, and there's a lot more struggles, I think personally, that women have to go through when they're trying to either compete at an amateur level or even at a pro level. So, all right, so let's get into it, guys. So we've got Stacy, we've got Maggie, and we've got Katie, and the first question that I want to kind of get started with you guys is what originally got you guys into lifting? We can start with Stacy and then just kind of, what kind of got you into it, and when did it turn to be something more serious for you?
So, my very first show I competed was in 2007. At that time, I was playing soccer. I played soccer from the age of 5 to 35. As I got older, I started getting injuries. I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore. So I always went to the gym, always a runner. So I said, I'm going to start weight training. Started weight training and started seeing results. At that time, there was a WNBF pro that used to go to my gym. And he would come up to me and he'd be like, have you ever competed? You should compete. And I go, yeah, I don't think that's for me. I'm like, I really like to eat. I really, but not knowing what it actually involves, right? So that was fine, kind of dismissed it. Went away to a UFC fight out in Ohio, and the Arnold Classic was there. And always trained, was at the gym. There was a bunch of competitors at the gym. And I had met a few of them. They were from Boston. Kathy Savage, I think was those girls. And they said, oh, are you competing this weekend? I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, no, I'm just here working out. So then it dawned on me. I said, well, here's 2 random people, right, who had asked me. At the time was, like I said, 35. And I said, well, maybe I should give this a try. So I said, okay. I'm going to compete. I'm going to give this a try. And I actually went through Kathy Savage. It was my very first show, did all that. I remember being like, oh my God, I do not like this. I don't like the restrictions on my diet. I don't like this. I don't like that. And this was a long time ago. Things are a lot different. I've had many coaches since then, and things make more sense to me now than it did back then. But I said, well, I committed to this. I'm going to do one and done, and this is it, right? So my very first show was an NPC show, actually. And I did it, and I competed, and I got on stage, and I said, well, I'm like, this wasn't that bad. And then when the lights were on me, I was like, oh, I think I'm a bit of a ham. I think I really like this, right? So I stepped off stage. I placed. I did well, for my first show. And I said, maybe I'll do this again. And I did, and it's been off and on up until 2019. I then went into, many different organizations. INBA, WNBF, OCB, found a home with OCB, did get my pro cards there. I actually got a pro card in INBA too. That was back when I lived in Vegas. But anyways, long story short, it just kind of, the minute I stepped on stage, somebody had asked me about it and said I should do this, and 2 separate people. And I said, well, give it a shot. And yeah, here we are, today. So
here we are, still doing it.
Yeah, at almost 50.
You went back to NPC because you just competed with us in the same competition just in October.
Yeah, here's the funny thing about all this is Maggie made my very first suit in 2007.
Oh, wow.
And wasn't that green as well?
And I love that suit. I still have that suit. I'm like, I haven't worn it, but then this last show, I had an injury, I had to take some time off. Said I want to do this again. I always said I wanted to compete in my 50s. That would be my last show. And Maggie made my very last suit for the last show.
Bookends.
So exactly, right? So, but yeah, this.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
An open book still.
Yeah, I would like to step on stage again. We'll see how that goes, but.
I have a feeling you will.
Yeah. My partner in crime there. He's like you're tough when it comes to dieting, because I'm very, very strict, and I've learned a lot over the years, and I know, it's very important to count my macros, and I know people have probably heard all kinds of things, if it fits your macros, you can eat this, you can eat that. I'm sorry, I don't do that.
Yeah, and that's fine. You got to find what works for you.
Exactly, right? So, but when I'm committed, and so I'm very rigid, and yeah.
Yeah, your partner in crime is Jimmy Champy. He's amazing, and he's got a show coming up. It's called the Mass Championships. That is next month, I believe.
Yes,
and
May
it'll be the second one. We were a sponsor last year. We'll be a sponsor again this year, and it was amazing. It was fun. It was very well organized. I got to give it to him. He did a great job, and I'm looking forward to it again this year. So
yeah, it's going to be a great time. Yeah,
so absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Maggie.
Yeah.
What got you into bodybuilding and lifting and?
So I started when bodybuilding was all there was, way back in the previous century, practically. I was right out of high school. I was teaching aerobics in a ladies' studio, and there were these little weights all around the periphery of the room. And, after the day was over, I would go and use the little weights, and pretty soon I was all the way through the stack on everything. And I was, in college at the time, and one of the girls that I was at school with was like, "Oh, you should come to my gym." It was this gym called Civigs in Fitchburg, Mass. And it was like the holiest hole in the wall, but it was all bodybuilders. Like everybody competed at this gym. So I walked in, the owner looked at me and she's like, "There's a show in a month. You should do it." And so she, tweaked my eating. I was a kid. I'd never even thought about dieting before. And so she tweaked my eating, and next thing I knew, I was on stage. Back then it was ANBC. Natural Org. I did that one. I had second place in my class, and I'm like, "Sounds good. When's the next one?" And so we did the second one, and I won it. And I'm like, "This is the best thing ever. This is my thing now." So I did a third one that summer, and then I was hooked. I was like, "This is great. Let's keep doing this." And before I knew it, I had done it a few years in a row, and they introduced fitness, which the best part to me of competing was doing the routine. Absolutely. Also a ham when it comes to being on stage. And so fitness is we're taking this physique, we're putting heels on, and then also a longer routine? Sounds good. Let's try it. So the first one I did, basically my routine was a juiced up bodybuilding routine. I don't mean juiced up, just like extra. And, I won that one. So that seemed to work out well. And I'm like, let's go to nationals, not really knowing what to expect. And so, I showed up at nationals as a completely green, looking around me like, oh. And at the time, I think ESPN2, they had the fitness things that they would have on TV, and on my right and on my left were girls I had seen on TV, and I'm like, this is a little intimidating. Let me step back a little bit and work on this before I try to do it again. And so, I had competed in fitness several more times before I got back on stage at the nationals, and it took a little bit, but we got our pro card in 2007 in fitness, and I competed as a pro in fitness, I think twice in 2008, twice in 2009, competed in figure because you can cross over into another category, and I did figure once in 2009 and then once in 2012. And that was a little bit like, where's the other half? This isn't what I want to be doing. So yeah, and one of these days we'll get at it again, because the drive to do it is still there, and to be honest, I want to make myself the world's best suit, and it's gonna have to go on me. It's gonna have to go on me.
Of course,
I'll take all kinds of risks and do all kinds of crazy stuff, like this girl over here.
Yeah, let's see it.
That has all the fun bells and whistles, different stuff. This is just one experiment of what can be done differently. It's got some spikes, some big stones. It's white, which is you don't see it a lot. There's a reason you don't. So I took every weird idea and compiled it into one on this one.
I love that.
Yeah.
So Maggie she's being humble. She does suits for us locally, right? But you work with Olympians.
I do.
Who do you work with? Like, if you can share that.
I can share it. Yeah. I actually compiled right around the time of the Arnold. I was like, who has won the Arnold? Whose suits I made? And there were at least 6 that I was able to put a post together with that. So I made suits for Nicole Wilkins from the time she was a pro to when she retired. Adela Garcia, I made several suits for her. She won both the Olympia, and both of those have won both the Olympia and the Arnold. Oksana Grishina was a fitness winner in both Olympia and Arnold several times. She's a wonderful person to work with as well. Sydney Gillen, who, as we know, has recently retired, but I did have the opportunity to make 4 suits for her, which were awesome. And, she's obviously still a really big name in the sport, and everybody loves her, and people still come to me with, I want this one. And I'm happy to duplicate any suit that I've made for someone else. I don't like to take other people's work and be asked to duplicate it. And if somebody brings me something, I'm like, well, I'll take some of that idea and add my own ideas, and we'll make it ours, something more unique to the situation. But usually it's a color scheme or a type of design. And we can mishmash things and put them together. I'm always looking to find new ways of putting things together that will be interesting. Of course. One thing I wish more people were into was that uniqueness that I've tried to deliver. There's a lot of suits available out there that are not in that category. And for some people, that's completely fine. They're happy with that. But I think there are a lot of people that are like, I work so hard at this. I want this to be about me and about my personality. And I am all in on that 100%. I want the input that they want to give me. I want the originality that they want to give me, and I'll put as much of my own originality on that as possible.
Yeah, and I know, you know this obviously, but I remember when you made my suit, and I heard you from many people, and I didn't know much about you, to be quite honest. This was a couple years ago. I was like, she's right in our backyard. Why would I not just go have her just make me a trunk? You know
Easy
what I mean?
peasy, right?
And I didn't even know you did that, because I just like, well, she just makes suits for women. So I was like, well, I'll just ask her. So she's like, yeah, I can do it for you. I'm like, okay.
I don't advertise a lot about the men because, I don't want that to be the more than a certain small percent of the work that I do. But of course, anybody who comes to me, I'm going to make their trunks for them.
Yep.
Yep.
No, it was great. And just kind of spitballing off that, it's how the suit fits you, right? And I know that's a big thing with what you do, right? Because like you said, everybody works so hard to get in this kind of shape to get on stage. The last thing you want the suit to do is not show everybody what you've worked so hard for. So I know that the way in which the suit is cut, the way in which it forms the person can really almost exaggerate what they're showing to the judges and to the crowd.
Because very much
I remember you doing that with me, and I was like, it's just a trunk. Like, what? You know what I mean? And I only, in classic, you have black and you have black. Do you want shiny black or matte black? And I'm like, okay, those are my two options. It's cool.
Velvet black?
And velvet. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, I'm glad there were only that option, because I don't want to have to think about it all. But the way that you fit it on me, and first of all, like, it was one and done. Like, I didn't even have to go back for a resize because it was that good. But I still use them till today, and they were great. But you can see the difference when you go on stage, and you can see the ones that are just off the shelf. You can tell. Just whether it's a suit or whether it's a trunk, and I know not many people think about that, but it actually is very, very important.
It is. It is. And people have come to me before and be like, oh, do you rent suits? And I'm like, I've decided to not do that a long time ago, because when you rent a suit, one, it's been worn by somebody else. Two, if someone has bought a suit and invested their self and money, etc., into a custom suit, and you're standing on stage next to someone in a rental suit that I also made, it's not fair to the person who bought it.
True.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
And not to be gross, but you're wearing someone's underwear that they wore before, and
the tainers and all
I
the stuff.
didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't
to rent
either.
a suit. I'm like,
I get requests all the time, and
I
know I'm denying business by saying no, but
it's like renting your underwear or something.
It's kind of, yes, I know there's a cleaning process involved, and I get it, but it's not like a wedding gown rental or a prom gown rental. It's different. It's more personal than that. And to a lot of people who compete, there's a lot of personal that goes into their why, their why that they do it. And I strongly feel that your suit should be part of your why. It should be the emblem, the outward facing whatever.
Your personality too. Exactly. It speaks a lot about who you are, right?
Exactly. So back to Spiky over here. I have a client who we're working on her fourth version of a similar to this, because it so suits her personality to have that sort of 3D edgy, let's break down the barriers kind of thing. And we literally in less than a year we'll be working on her fourth suit, which is awesome. I love that. That's hopefully a client for life. And she tells two friends, and they tell two friends, and that's how the word of mouth works.
Yeah. And how did you get into working with these top level bodybuilders or these top level female competitors?
That's a good question, and I don't know that anybody's ever asked me that before, so I don't have an answer ready for you. Honestly, probably Kathy Savage.
Oh,
good old
so
Kathy.
referrals. Yeah.
Good old Kathy. So Kathy, for people who don't recognize the name, is one of the leaders in the industry who first sort of started having teams of girls go to shows. We more or less started with fitness because fitness was like that secondary thing to bodybuilding, and then figure came, and then bikini, and then wellness, and then all the other. So there were a lot of girls that wanted to do fitness when it became a thing. And, performing the routine, there was a lot of dancers, a lot of gymnasts that didn't have anywhere to exhibit their skills after high school or college or whatever. And then as little girls, I mean, who didn't want to go in a pageant and wear a dress or heels or a swimsuit and dance around in your costume? I mean, there's a lot of us out there, I'm sure, who wanted to do that. And so she's local, or was local, to Massachusetts girls, and she became not just nationwide but worldwide. People would fly in for Savage camps, and the team was enormous. Like, there weren't just 5 or 6 people, it was like 30 or 40, all showing up at a show all at once. And so in her, generosity, she shared with me when someone that she knew needed a suit that needed to be more unique and more special. As she saw what I was building, she included me, and shared my name with some of the people that I ended up making suits for, such as Mia Finnegan and Monica Brandt, Nicole Wilkins. We kind of met her, I think, both at the same time. And so it just sort of blossomed from there. And the more I was able to make suits for people that had a famous name, the more other famous names came to me. I know it seems very unusual. It's like I'm in the corner of the Northeast, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and you wouldn't think
I know
that would have been a thing. But yeah, I've had quite a few in the winner's circle and not in the winner's circle at the highest levels.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you that location doesn't really matter. I mean, if the quality is good enough, they'll come.
Exactly. And
travel.
I know I'm trying to build my clientele in Australia. I've got quite a few clients there. Many places in Europe. Europe, England, France, all kinds of fun places. Mongolia was one. I know, very far flung.
And there's competitions everywhere in the world.
There are.
You don't think about that, but there are. It's not just the United States.
There are, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, and I've been doing it 21 years now at this point.
Yeah, look at that. Man, 21 years. You got to have a party. You just hit 20 years. That's kind of a big deal.
I know. I'm legal. I'm finally legal.
Yeah. When I'm thinking back, that's
finally
how I met you. Was Kathy Savage that many years ago. And I think I've said this to you before. It's like back then you were an acquaintance, and then I ran into you out in Vegas, and then all of a sudden I decided to move here in this area from Boston, and I joined this gym, and who's there? And I'm like, girl, you're supposed to be in my life. Yep. I'm like, what is going on?
I'm a boomerang to you. Throw me and I come right back.
Honestly. And I'm like, and now here we are. Like, we're like really good friends and stuff.
That's how it goes.
Like, this is, you're meant to be in my life.
We're part of a team that was meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I mean, that's a good point too. Like, just the gym culture in general is just pretty awesome. You know what I mean? And the people that you meet along the way.
You do make lifetime friends.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, because there's not many people that can understand what you do and why you're doing it, right? But everybody in that gym totally gets it, especially if they are on the same level as you in terms of what you're doing and why you're doing it.
I've met so many great friends and just people through competing. Like, it's just, you're all like-minded, and it's really, you put a lot of work into it. It's hard work, as you guys all know. But at the end of the day, it's like a family, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And it's just, it's nice to be somewhere and, play in the playground with all your friends
that's really what it is, a big playground.
Yeah, that get you, right? So, but yeah, competing's done a lot for me.
Yeah. For sure, being involved, like our little fun gym road trips that we do.
Yes, yeah.
You guys will have to come with us next time we go on a gym road trip.
Yeah.
I did that
we have a girls trip coming up.
Oh, you should definitely go.
Yeah.
I used to do that when we lived in Rhode Island. Remember, I used to train with Dave Manation, and we used to, that was our thing, man. Like, every other month we'd go try another one. It's so cool. I mean, I don't do that as much anymore, but I do whenever I travel. That's my goal.
Find the local.
Yes. Well, I'm going out to Vegas in a few weeks, and Dragon's Lair's on my list. I talk about it all the time, and if I have time, I want to hit Fit Club too, just because, like, I want to feel the vibe. I want to feel the culture that they have, and I always get my best workouts when I'm traveling, especially when I'm trying new gyms that I haven't tried. Like, we love Iron Religion in Orlando. Anytime we're in Orlando, we hit that one up, But yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. You should definitely go on the next one. Yeah.
I'm happy to go.
We'll include you on our text chain.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. All right, Katie, let's talk about you now. I know you've had a huge transformation in the last year, and this is kind of what brought this whole podcast to come to life, because this is a lot of questions were being asked when I would put you on my feed and my stories and all that stuff.
Like,
and,
what kind of questions?
Well, so there were a lot of people that were asking, well, first of all, more people were interested in what you were doing than what I was doing, which was fine.
Of course. That's funny.
Right.
Deflect.
So a lot of people were like, you know, hey, what's your wife looks awesome. I'm like, cool, thanks, man. So she does. She looked amazing, and everybody thought that I would always get like upset about it, but no, it was great. And I'd always tell her, and she'd be like, whatever, you know. But anyways, you've had this huge transformation in the last year, and I know a lot of it is based off of, you know, probably maybe me competing a couple years ago. I don't know, but you got a lot of drive. And just kind of talk about that, because you've always been like, you went from yoga, then you went into working out, and then now you're taking it to the next level. You know, you've qualified for nationals. You might even do a national show later this year. So we're kind of stoked about that. So talk a little bit about kind of what got you into it, like what made you want to kind of pursue that, kind of drop the yoga a little bit and get more into that resistance training.
Well, I was doing yoga because I needed to feel grounded at that time in my life. Let me back up. I've always been into sports. I played college ball, and that's when I started weight training, because I had a program to follow. So that kind of just transitioned into I'll do it casually on the side. And then I got pregnant. And then I got pregnant again.
Hold on. You got pregnant with twins.
Yes.
Like you still, so this is one thing that I get. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop you.
That's fine.
There's one thing that she does, and she doesn't like, she's very, and this is fine. I don't fault her for this, but she inspires so many people, like, and you can inspire more people by showing where you were and where you are now. And I know that sometimes some people have a hard time putting themselves out there. She's getting better at it, but
I'm trying.
If you had seen what her stomach looked like with these twins and what she looks like now, it's pretty amazing. And there's a lot of people out there, women especially, that could benefit from knowing where you were and what's possible, because it's not common to see that, you know? Right. So yeah, talk about that.
Well, yeah. So after having the twins, we had 3 kids under the age of 3. And so for a couple years, I just felt like it was all about raising babies. And that was in my early 30s, because I didn't have kids until I was 30, and then 32, I was almost 33. So anyway, so then I started going to the gym, and I'd bring them to the Y and drop them off, because I could for like 2 hours in the daycare, and then I could do me. So then it's when I started doing, you know, my weight training. And it wasn't all weight training, and it wasn't like it is today. That has totally evolved. But it was a little bit of resistance training, a little bit of cardio, and a lot of bit of yoga, because I could just like zone out and just feel. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just like my time. So I did that for a lot of years. And then I think we were at the show in, was it November, Boston?
Yeah, the New England Championships, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking around. That was the first show I'd ever been to. I've never had my head in the bodybuilding or competitive space whatsoever. And I'm looking around, and you were like, Katie, you could totally do this. And I was like... You know, I think I could. I'm like, look, and I was just kind of taking it all in, because I'd never seen it before. And I don't give myself a lot of credit. Like, I think I'm a humble person, and I don't like to be out there and show all my stuff. So that fast forward to today, that's why I have my own insecurities about what I look like now. Like, it's not necessarily like a comfortable, empowering thing for me necessarily as it could for other people. I think sometimes I just wear my baggy sweats, and I'm like, don't look at me, I'm doing shoulders today. And the one day I take my shirt off, I got some chick coming over, like telling her husband that you should look like this, and I'm like, don't look at me. But so anyway, so Chad was like, you could totally do this. And I was like, maybe I could. And you were working with Rachel Daniels as your posing coach. And we discovered that she also does training, and I was like, you know, she's savage. Like, she was really motivational for me. Like, her content online was really motivational. I was like, she's strong. She don't give an F about nothing. Like, she's just doing her. And it was just like motivational for me. So I was like, I want to hire her. I want her to train me. So I think it was last May, I started with her, like late May. That was my first check-in with her. And I was on stage in October. And it was like,
You were ready early.
so fast.
Yeah, you
she
look
was.
Really early.
amazing.
Yeah, you could easily have done like June or July.
Oh,
Yeah.
Somehow.
for sure.
She could have.
Whenever
sure.
we first sat down and started talking about your suit, I was like, why are you waiting till October? Like,
Yeah,
you could go
yeah,
now.
yeah.
And it's a very well-developed physique for, I mean, obviously you've been weight training
Right.
for a while prior to May.
Right.
But you were ready way early.
I'd never dieted and followed a plan like that. Like,
You've always been conscious about
I've been
what you
conscious,
eat.
but I've never counted macros or weighed anything on the scale. I was like, I like food. This is, you know, I want to enjoy what I eat. I don't want to like do it like that. And now, forget it. I can't go a day without counting my macros and weighing out every gram of almond and whatever. Like, it's ridiculous. And I don't know how to do it any other way now. Like, having a cheat meal, I'm like, in my mind, I wonder how many macros this is going to be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just eat it and enjoy it.
It's hard to give
It's
yourself
hard.
permission, right?
Yes.
When you
Of
go
course.
do such a rigid thing that is so controlled, and you see how you're able to do what you do with your physique, it's hard. I think especially for women to then be in a what it used to be referred to as an off season and is now referred to as a growing season
Yes.
because
Right.
it
Yes.
sounds better.
Right.
That's right.
You're in your growing season, and you know don't necessarily have to be as scrupulous about every gram of everything.
And being comfortable with growing.
And it is harder to be comfortable with your physique when you are in that growing season / off season because, you know, there was a lot of inspiration to be gained from your process of leaning out and getting to the stage. And, you know, no doubt lots of people told you looked amazing. And for a lot of people, that's a trigger for self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. And I've seen it forever with myself, with other people, that when it comes to the non-show season, that sort of disappears to some extent. You know, although I saw you a month or so ago in the gym and I'm like, girl, you look amazing.
Yeah.
What's happening? And you're like, no, I don't. I'm like, yes, you do.
I think I said the same thing to you when I saw you when we were at the posing practice.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
Yeah. So if sometimes that reinforcement needs to be heard again because you can get in your head real hard, you know. And it's not just a female thing. Men
course,
men
of
have it
course.
too
It's like, don't beat
in a
yourself
different
up.
way. But yeah, there's a lot of we all need a support group
Exactly.
for post show.
That's what I was going to say. In general, though, I think because there are many people, I'm a lone wolf. I like to work up by myself. However, like I love training with Katie too. However, I do think it's nice to have that type of community, right? Like there are plenty of people that I either talk to in the gym or that I talk to on the outside of the gym, you know, we're all kind of on the same page. I feel like Katie, I'm trying to get her to do that as well. Like you were just saying, hey, we got to do like a gym trip. You know what I mean? Like something like that for her would be amazing because she needs to be around other women that are doing that too, because it's very easy to feel like you're in it by yourself when you're doing stuff like that. And just to kind of go back to what you were saying about Rachel, it's like I was working with Rachel and she would be sending me like videos of Rachel and being like, oh, so awesome. I'm like, you are obviously inspired by this woman. This makes the most amount of sense that you work with her because like it's just that much easier to feel accountable to a coach or to somebody else when you're also being motivated by that person. And that's why for me, like Rachel, and then I had another coach previous to that, Allie, and they were all very motivational for me in other ways. And, you know, for me, it feels like the accountability aspect in being able to be like, you know what, I got to make sure I do this, or I know she's doing it, so I'm going to do it. Like she's not telling me to do anything that she's not already doing herself or hasn't done, you know what I mean? So I feel like that right there is a good example of what people are seeing in you or you guys as well to say that, you know, these women are very inspirational. Yeah, it sucks to put yourself out there sometimes, but you know, if you don't, then you don't know how many other people that you could be helping, like maybe getting over certain things or whatever. And I get it. Like, you know, it's not easy to put yourself out there because you're going to get the hate. You know, I understand that. I get it. You guys will get it.
It makes me think of that book that you gave me. You gave me as a gift once, How Not to Give a Fuck.
Yeah.
I think
And I've read that book like
it's a
3
good one.
times.
It's a good one.
I totally need that book.
Yeah, The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a good one. And it really does, because for me, it took a while to get over what people thought. I used to really care what people thought about me. I didn't want people to judge me, and now I don't care. And it's such a relief when you don't care what people think.
Well, especially when you're competing.
Totally.
Like, surrounding yourself with like-minded people is very important. Other competitors and stuff. Because there'll be like the last show I did in October that we all did. I lean out very quickly. I'm a hard gainer. So for me, I'm like, someone came up to me, well, geez, could you get any skinnier? Don't call me skinny,
Nobody wants to hear that.
I was wild, right? I was up in my head, and
course.
it was horrible, and it bugged me for days.
Yeah.
I went home and I ate 2 hamburgers because I was like, I need a refeed. I'm like, but that's the thing. It's like, so, super important, because it is easy for us to get up in our head and take what people say to heart. And the other thing is not everybody is going to understand our journey. And that's the hardest thing too. And sometimes I used to find myself trying to explain to people. And then I think you actually said something to me one time about something, because something like, in other words, like you were like, just like, yeah, I just let it go, or I just let it roll. I forget what we were talking about, but it was at the gym, and something was eating at me, and you had said something like that, and I was like, God, I need to learn to be like that, right? So I need that book.
I think that was kind of like you as also a healthcare practitioner, where it's like, hey, I'm trying to help somebody with something, but they're not listening to me. Or you might have experience as maybe a fitness professional, and you've got somebody that's like challenging you. It's like, after a while, I'm just like, whatever, man. If you want to do it, fine. I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to give you a little tip. If you don't want to take it, that's cool.
Yeah, that really hit home to me, though. But it helped me.
Right.
Because I take everything so personally, and I just want to fix the world. I want to help the world. I want to help people, whatever it might be. Like, or even, when we're competing, if someone says something to me, and I'm sure by them telling me I look skinny, they thought it was a compliment, but I'm in my head, right? So I have to just learn to,
That's all.
But but that's a lot with, I think competing in general is just being, I'm sorry, my ear's ringing.
Oh, shoot.
No, the phone was ringing.
Oh.
I told you that was going to happen. But maybe
funny.
lose my train of thought.
Yeah. You can answer it. You want to answer it? Go ahead.
Hello, you're on the pod. That might be interesting.
Learning to just really be able to separate all that.
Yeah. Well, everything you're doing is at the end result. I mean, now let's talk about just the fact that everything that you do over the course of months and sometimes years in your phases of growth and then prep and all that, it's all for a day to be judged. Like, it's all about the critique.
All this work
asking for it.
You're asking for it. So it is a mental game.
That's a great point.
And depending on who the judges are that day and who shows up as your competition, it can affect everything, like if nobody shows up and you win, great, but that wasn't very that didn't feel really rewarding. And then you can have a bunch of people up there, and depending on if let's be truthful that it is somewhat of a subjective sport.
Yeah.
So are they looking at just mass and size? Are they looking at conditioning that day? What are we looking at?
Yeah,
and
what do the judges want?
That's a great question for you, Maggie, because that's changed quite a bit over the years. You've got, I mean, obviously, do they even have fitness anymore? I don't know if
they do, but you don't find it locally very much.
Okay. But in general, with what these judges are looking for in terms of, whether it's men's physique, classic, or, for example, even figure or women's physique, I'm sure that it's changed over the years now that, you've got these competitors that are looking pretty ridiculous now, right? And I mean, to their point, hey, look, good for you, man. You look great. But where does it shift now, right? Like, because you have some classic competitors or even some figure competitors that could be physique competitors and vice versa.
Or bodybuilding.
Or bodybuilding.
Right.
Seriously.
Yes.
So I know that this has probably changed, or maybe it hasn't, but I have a feeling it has in terms of like what they're looking for and what they see, versus what it maybe was, say, 15 years ago.
Things evolve all the time.
Of course.
For example, the Fit Model was introduced a little more than a year ago. And a lot of, I don't know if it was internet only, but a lot of pictures were produced of bikini in the beginning, how it looked in the beginning, and the posing. And that's what they wanted Fit Model to look like. So the evolution of bikini has gone absolutely from point A to point Z. A bikini competitor now is super shredded,
has
very
muscle,
muscular, especially lower, but definitely has the abs and the shoulders and the glutes and the, almost to the extent of, if you look back to the original female Olympians, Corey Everson, Rachel McLeish, the bikini competitors are more muscular and leaner than those original bodybuilders were. So there's quite an evolution in what physique presentation has become. And so, every once in a while, year or three, the powers that be present criteria where they want to kind of dial it back, and or they create a new category, and this is how we end up with 10 categories for women, and because the physiques are so diverse.
Yeah, of course.
And also federation. What federations are you competing in?
Right.
They all have different criteria and what they look for. Like some, in the past, I don't know if OCP is still their criteria, but they really used to go for the very lean. I would never be the biggest person on stage, and I never will be. Can I get lean? Absolutely.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So there you go, right? Yeah. But, depending on what those judges for that federation and their criteria, so there's a lot that factors in, wherever you decide you want to go, and, but, yeah.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off that, talking about how things have evolved, you now have women that tend to look a little bit more muscular in the gym, right? Like, this is something that Katie was facing this year, and I know you guys probably as well have gone through this, where you all of a sudden do get to the point where, hey, you're probably bigger than some of these guys in the gym, right? Or you're probably lifting the same weight, probably more, right? And talking about maybe some of the insecurities that you have as a female about being maybe judged by whether it's either other females or males, as to what you look like in the gym, right? I know Katie started wearing some of my t-shirts now because she doesn't want to, show off her muscularity. And hey, I don't care. That's fine, right? But if you're like, hey, but I really feel more comfortable in a sports bra or whatever, you should wear that. You know what I mean? And I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't worry about what other people feel, because you don't know if they're looking at you being like, wow, she looks great, or wow, I wish I could. I have patients, not kidding. I have one client especially that's like, I just want to have shoulders like Katie's. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And he's a guy.
Don't we all?
That's awesome.
You
see what I mean?
So,
right?
So it's like, but it's one of those things. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, what I guess in your mind, like for guys, they're just like, oh, I just want to show everything, and that's cool. But I feel like the women have a harder time with that because the whole femininity side, and it's like, well, I don't want to look masculine, but is it masculine, or is it just like, for me, I think it's fit if I'm saying, to be honest, but I think I'm probably biased. I do have a wife that looks muscular, but for some of those guys out there can't handle that. How do you guys go about dealing with those insecurities?
Or the fit shaming.
Fit shaming, health
yes.
shaming, that type stuff as well. Like, have you guys ever dealt with that? I know you have, but have you guys ever dealt with that? And how do you go about putting that in the back of your head and just kind of keep doing what you're doing?
When I was when I was in my peak, time of competing, and I had turned pro, and then OCB and the other federations, you post things online, and people are like, and women, oh, you look like a man, and oh, I wouldn't want to look like that. I'm like, well, yeah, from what I can see, chances are you probably won't. I don't know, like you know,
and
have
a good comeback in your pocket.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
I don't want to, but I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be
understand.
rude. And you know what? And I said, well, you know, to each his own. And that's right. And, you know, some people, I used to say, and even my girlfriends would say it to me, oh, you know, you're getting too muscular, oh, you look like a man, or da-da-da, or, you know, I want to be feminine. And I'm like, you can still be fit and be feminine. You know, I put it out there like this. I said, everybody has things that they enjoy doing, that they like to do. I said, some people work hard all day and they don't go home after work. They go right to the bar and they like to have their drinks. I work hard all day at work. I don't go right home. I like to go to the gym. That's where I blow off steam. That's my stress reliever. And you know what? The best thing about that is I see results. So whatever your stress reliever is, or whatever you like to do, then good for you. I don't judge you. Do I call you, you know, an alcoholic because you go for a drink every day after work? No. Like, who am I to say? So I kind of put it that way. I just gave like, you know, a different analogy, or whatever you might say, is, you know, everybody has their outlet. My outlet is the gym, and it just so happens to come with this bonus.
Yeah, of course,
you know,
of course.
You know, so to each his own. You know, I just, you know, and then I'll tell people, and if you don't like what you see on my page, you don't have to be on it.
That's
so,
right.
Bye-bye. See you later.
Plenty of pages out there. You don't have to see mine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, of course.
Like you say, change the channel.
That's right.
Yeah,
Change the
there
channel.
you go. There you go.
Change the
I'm sure
channel.
you remember being pregnant, how people want to come up and talk to you about being pregnant.
Yes.
Right. And do you feel like a lot of the same happens now that you are a bodybuilder?
Oh,
Yes.
great point.
Yes, this is true.
And they feel like they can touch you too, which is really
Everybody puts their hands on
That's
my
so
arms.
funny that you
Yep.
say that.
Yeah,
It's
everybody
so
puts their
true.
hands
It's because it's
just
like
like
that
a
whole
pregnant woman with their
boundary.
belly.
Yeah.
Somehow the boundaries
Interesting.
are removed. When you are presenting yourself as a very fit person, I don't know how it is with men,
Yeah.
but with women, people come up and be like, "Oh my God," and they touch your arm like it's not real. And that can be a little weird. It can be a little off-putting.
Interesting.
And that's, you know,
That literally just happened to you today when we were at the gym.
yeah. And I'm sure it happens all the time.
And you're like, I think
I didn't get any touchy feelies though.
I don't think it's as big a thing for
It's not.
men that
It's
are
not.
lean and muscular as it is for women that are, because it's
For sure.
it looks like a more unusual thing for a woman.
because
Right.
yeah, you don't see. It's not every day you see women walking around like you, or you know what I mean, like that. I think people are just in awe. Or they're like, you're inspirational, right?
There's
It's an
more of the in
inspiration.
awe than there is the negative, but there's definitely a negative connotation, and especially, you know, a recent phenomena that's happening with a lot of younger women. They're seeing a lot of skinny online. You know, I had a client recently bring her daughter in, and her daughter's friend was not the one participating, and I was just creating a conversation with her, and I'm like, when are you going to do it? And she's like, oh no, that's not for me. I like to look fragile. And I was like,
fragile. It's an interesting
that
word.
I know. And that I was like, oh, ouch. That's is that how the young generation right now is feeling to some extent? Like I like the way that looks better than how the muscularity looks. So there's, you know,
That actually brings up another interesting thing with the whole GLP and all of that, because I wonder if now it's like this quick fix and everybody wants to take that and get really, really lean or skinny. But they don't want to put in the work. They don't want to go to the gym. They're losing ton of muscle as well as fat, you know.
there's going to be a lot of osteoporosis happening in the next 10
Yeah,
years.
keep you in business.
Well, that's the problem, right? So like I don't hate on GLPs. I think there's a purpose, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that if you're using it correctly and if you are the right person for
What it
that
was
drug,
intended for.
I think it's okay, right? But then you have a lot of people that are being prescribed this now. It's not just your doctors, it's med spas now, which is a problem. So everybody's getting, and it's just the general population because it's very widely accessible right now. So what's happening is, you're right, they're malnutritioned, they're not getting enough calories, and now they're taking a GLP on top of it. So you're right, is it the GLP that's causing the osteoporosis, or is it your malnutrition that's causing the osteoporosis?
Absolutely.
So that's the thing. So now we've got people that are hating on GLPs, but then we also have people that are, like you said, not putting in the work and not doing it appropriately. So now GLPs get a bad name. Do I think they are abused? Yes, I do. But I also think it's the advice that's out there, because the advice out there is on social media. And let's just be honest and say that these influencers have no idea what they're talking about most of the time. And not many people can determine which one of those influencers are credible and which ones are not credible, because, hey, this guy's got 1 million followers, so he must know what he's talking about. That's not true. That's not how it works. But yes, to your point on the GLPs, I know that's what's going on.
You have to educate yourself. You have to do your research. So, and I say this to Jimmy all the time, I'm like, GLPs, they're not bad if they're used for what they were intended for. Like, and the doctor prescribes them, you know, somebody's diabetic, whatever. Medical diagnosis that they need it. But now people are looking at it because as Americans, our society, everything is a quick fix. So, well, geez, why would I want to spend an hour at the gym or an hour and a half at the gym, work out, take care of myself? Oh, why would I want to prep meals? Why would I, when I can take this and I can lose weight?
That's why I think that you should earn the right to play in that game with GLPs. So if you're not demonstrating that you can be competent with training or nutrition, I don't think you should have the option to play with that.
Almost like back when they did the bariatric surgeries, right? They'd have to go through psych testing.
That's right.
And they'd have to go through an evaluation, right, in order to get approved to have that done. Why is that they're not like a similar format or a protocol?
Right.
There should be, right?
To your point too, it's funny, I have a patient that went through the bypass years ago and had nothing but problems. He's done really well, but he's training, he's eating better for sure. He's been on a GLP for probably the last 6 months, and he feels the best he's ever felt. And he was telling me, and I don't know if this is true, but he was telling me that the bypass surgeries, the gastric bypass surgeries, are going down because they're able to supplement that with the GLP. And again, I'm in favor of that if it's prescribed appropriately,
done the right way.
Because you'd rather have somebody lose weight through exercise and nutrition versus, taking a piece of their stomach out of their body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a big surgery.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. They should have, like, if they're prescribing the GLPs, there should be like these courses that you take, right? Give you the tools in your toolbox. You need to take a nutrition course. You need to like get with a trainer or whatever. And like then, because there's nothing wrong with them if you do it the right way. But these people, they're not dieting, they're just, they're not exercising. Not everybody, but some. And then they're losing all this weight. And then what's going to happen is the minute they come off of it, they're going to gain it back.
Typically, yeah.
Most
Statistically,
often, right?
yes.
Yeah. And they're losing a lot of muscle.
Yeah,
and I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, again, this is a thought that goes on in my mind. I'm like, well, right now this is all kind of fairly new, but like down the line, are we going to see, like, what are we going to see?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know the long-term effects of all that stuff.
It's not promoting longevity the way people should be doing it.
Yeah.
It's just that quick fix, and not to be punny, but there's a big appetite for it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a giant appetite for the quick fix, like you said. I mean, who among us does not use Google pretty frequently just to find out a question that you just occurred to you? That's a quick fix. No more dictionaries, no more nothing.
Nope.
No more encyclopedias.
Yep.
We just go right to the Googs and find it out, and we can know it right now. And the same thing applies for this. And this is for decades, if not millennia. People have been looking for the quick diet pill, and this is it.
There's money to be
Hydroxycut.
made. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the next
There's a
phase.
ton of
I
money.
know.
Yeah.
I know.
I remember,
But not to
I
get
do
off
remember.
track.
I used it in high school. I mean, that was the time where you could get it right at GNC, right in the glass case. You didn't even have to be 18.
It's funny. I had a conversation last night with
Terrible
somebody
gas
about
stations.
that.
Yeah.
But
We've come a long way.
I think the how we got onto that topic was you saying, like, oh, I want to look frail, or I want to look thin.
Yeah. Right.
So
that
to
aesthetic
go
is
back
being promoted.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right,
Instead of, whereas I feel like a few years ago it was like, I want to look fit, I want to look strong,
and body
right?
positivity, and
Right.
happy reinforcement with people.
Right.
And now you've got all these celebrities that are like these amazing facelifts and these body transformations, and the young generation coming up is seeing that and going, well, that's what I'm supposed to look like, isn't it? We've got women that we know in the gym that are like, oh, you work out so hard. I just want to be a little bit more toned. And that word, I swear to God.
Well, because in other words, like, I don't want to be muscular.
I don't want to get muscular. And we're like,
toned.
I'd like to see you try. It's basically how I
So that's a
feel
great
about it.
point, right? And we were talking about this off air a little bit, but for women, I mean, it's not as easy. Let's just be honest, right? To put on muscle, and there's that. Oh, well, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get bulky, right? You know, I don't want to put on too much muscle. Shit, if it was that easy, I mean, everybody would be jacked.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And natural. Everybody would
natural. That's right.
and
Yeah.
jacked.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that you guys are faced with that question all the time. But no, that's good. I do want to talk a little bit too about more on like the empowering side, because I know we're probably getting a little negative right now, which is fine because I think it's needed.
There's a lot of negativity.
Because there's a lot of negativity out there, right?
Yeah.
Simmers under the surface.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead of talking about maybe some of the insecurities that you guys faced, how about let's talk about maybe how the gym has maybe improved your confidence over time. Maybe the gym had, like you said, it's my outlet, right? To maybe it's you've gained a confidence inside the gym, but now it's kind of trickling outside the gym into other things that you do, whether it's your business or maybe it's what you do for work. Like, because obviously, let's just be honest and say it, that like you working in the healthcare industry, or you working with fitness professionals, you working with people that are trying to get up out of bed, all this stuff, right? Like, you kind of have to look like you do it. Like, I've seen you guys out in the gym all the time. Like, you were in the gym this morning. I see you in the gym every 12 o'clock because I'm there every day. I see you. She's usually walking on as I'm walking in. Yeah. But it happens, right? So is there a point in which that changed for you guys, where maybe that confidence inside the gym trickled into like other factors of your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, my entire business is based on the fact that I ever stepped into the gym in the first place.
That's what I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? I went from gym member to competitor who's starting to make some suits for myself and maybe someone else, to full-time from, a certain point to now. And there's definitely a confidence to be gained from that whole cycle that I've experienced personally. But yes, the fact that you can create what you want to physically through your body also helps you to create what you want to mentally through your mind.
Yeah.
And it does take a lot of mental focus in order to get that physicality to happen the way you want it to. And once you've realized that you can actually achieve that and you can repeat it, then you feel stronger about all the other things that are a little bit harder to do in life and not necessarily associated with fitness. There's things that you have to tackle in life that take a certain amount of mental focus. Most people's jobs are not fitness related, and there's that's a part of your life that does promote stronger mental stability and acuity.
And when you have those tools, like what I realized, like when I was saying, when I first started competing and I was like, oh my goodness, this dieting, this and that. But then I learned how to eat. I learned about macros. I learned that I had the ability to make myself look any way I wanted to look with the tools that I learned. So I take that and I carry it over. Like, a lot of my clients will say to me, oh my God, you just did a show, you looked amazing. This always cracks me up. So you trained, you're training for the show. So what do you do for training? Like, you have 3 months, how are you gonna be ready? I train year round.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like,
they think you're just starting it.
Right. I just look a little fluffier in my off season. I said, it's really the diet pieces. The muscle is the muscle that I have. It's there. But anyways, my point is explaining to them and telling them that, you have the ability to look a certain way. You just have to apply everything that I can teach you things and show you things in, diet and this and that, and just have the ability to, apply that and stick with it. I think a lot of things, I have a client recently he was seeing me when I was doing, working outpatient PT, and I got out of doing that, and he's kind of followed me to where I am now, and God, I do training with him in the bodywork stuff, but he's lost probably over 50 pounds, and he looks great, but he's such a, he knows, he's watching what he's eating, he's looking at things, he's realizing that he needs to move, he needs to exercise. That back pain that used to be there is no longer there. Mm-hmm. He's working on his core, he's strengthening, so all of that stuff. So it's just, if I can inspire people through my competing or my working out, or even not even so much looking a certain way, but the way you just the way you carry yourself in general, right? So and that's helped me, and that makes me feel good as a person. Like if I feel like I'm helping somebody else, that's the whole thing. I always, Maggie, I'm like, I always want to help everybody.
I
I'm
know,
like,
I know.
I'm like, oh, I wish I could fix you, like whatever, if I had a magic wand,
Yeah.
But that's my why. It makes me feel good to be able to help others. And, like you shouldn't be, when people come up to you, you're an inspiration. They look at you and they're like, oh my God, and I know at first it's like the attention is like awkward and weird, right? Just like, oh geez, don't, but the thing is you're somebody that they look at and be like, wow, and same with you.
If you look at it from the perspective of, if I give this person some positive feedback right now, they're going to take that positive feedback and become a better person themselves.
You can make the difference.
So pull yourself out of it and make it about that person that you're talking to instead, and it completely changes how you feel about that interaction, potentially the next interaction.
I stepped on an OCB stage. This was back in 2000, maybe 14 or 15. And I had just I lived out in Vegas, and then I moved back and whatever. But I was going to go on stage, and there was a girl in the line, and I was walking by, and she's like, Stacy? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, I hadn't seen this girl, God, it had to be like 5 or 6 years. And she goes, I'm here today because of you. Sweet. And I'm like, what? And she goes, remember at the gym when you were used to train? And I'd be like, oh my God. And she's like, I don't think I go, you can do anything you put your mind to. Anybody can step on stage. You just got to put your mind to it. You have to educate, you have to learn, and just be consistent and be disciplined, but you can do it. We don't have to be a prisoner in our own body. We can do this, right? And she said, and I remember you telling me, she goes, and she stepped on stage, she had a winner in her class and everything, and I was just like, oh my God, yeah. She's like, I'm here because of you. And she gave me a big hug, and that was like one of the best days for me, because not so much, I was there doing what I loved to do, but it was the best day for me because it made me feel so good that I was able to help somebody else, or help them to achieve a goal, or give them the confidence that they...
Yeah, and to your point, I think that when you're kind of going through that phase, you have to really think about those moments and think about all the people that you are helping, even if they don't tell you, because there's so many people out there that are very reserved, and they won't tell you that you're inspiring them until that maybe that one day they see you, right? But you're going to get all this other negative feedback, like we already talked about. But don't focus your attention there. Focus your attention on the people that you're helping and the people that you're inspiring. That'll make you feel better about it, right? Okay, I know we got to get going here soon, so I want to do a little rapid fire really quick with you guys, okay? Little bonus spicy segment for you guys. So what's the most backhanded compliment you've ever gotten, whether it's in the gym or in public or whatever it may be? So like you were like, ooh, taken back by it. Something that really stunned you, negative or positive?
I think when I've been in like peak show shape and my arms are so crazy vascular, and someone had said, that looks so gross. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep. It does. But here it is.
Yep. What about you, Katie?
I don't know.
No, you can't think of anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Have you ever been told that you're getting too big by somebody, whether it's by a friend or a family or something like that? And what was your reaction to something like that?
Well,
this was directed towards you.
Yeah, this is family all the way. My father. You're not going to get too big, are you?
Yeah.
You're not trying to get big like your coach, are you?
Yeah.
You don't have anything to prove,
Right.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, so it's hard to
to have them understand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And he's coming from a place of good, I know that,
right.
but also like you can really dive down deep into those holes and be like, man, how should I take that?
Yeah.
you know?
This is the 100 compliments versus one insult.
That's right.
Scenario, and all you focus on is the one insult.
Yep.
Right.
Or when you get down to your like lean, very, very lean, and because you get very lean.
Oh yeah.
People say, oh, are you feeling okay? Are you sick? Is there something, is there something
Working in health. I work with nurses all day, every day. And when I was like even a month out from my show, you saw how lean I was even when I went in for my suit fitting. But people were like, are you ill? And I would see it in their face before they even said anything to me as they walked by, and I'd stop it before it even came out. I'm fine. I'm not sick. I'm getting ready for a show. Yeah.
This is purposeful.
I'm doing it to myself. And then like a week or two out from my show, the same nurse would be like, Katie, you can't get any more Skeletor than that. I'm like, well, thanks. I don't like my face right now either. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your feedback.
But that's not about my face. It's about getting the striations in my ass.
Yeah.
And if this is what my face has got to look like, then that's what we're going to do.
That's the tough part.
Well, and then like someone had said to me right before the show, they're like, "Oh, you're competing," and I'm like, they're like, "Oh yeah, we can see. How many weeks left do you have? Oh, you might be too skinny." And I'm like, and then my mind's going, and it's just, it's just.
And when you're in prep and you're not, your mental state is not.
It's not solid.
It's not. It's not.
You get out of bed in the morning, and the first thing you do after peeing is look in the mirror. Sometimes weigh yourself.
I was like, hop on the scale.
It creates not your self-esteem, but your like dynamic for the day. And all you need. And remember, we were talking about like the pregnancy and the bodybuilding, how people feel like they can touch you. They also feel like they can say things to you, which they would never say to someone else who was not doing what we're doing.
Right.
Like you wouldn't walk into the grocery store and see someone who was heavy and be like, "Hey, why are you so heavy?"
Right.
Right.
You would think of their feelings, but when
when
it comes to someone who's in superior shape,
yeah,
they feel more confident about saying something that could be construed as an insult.
Yeah.
Why is
Great
that?
point. Great point.
Yeah, it's like I
What is it about?
It's because
that?
it's not normal to be fit like that. That's why.
Right.
It's been normalized.
Passive-aggressive.
Yeah, it's been normalized to be, of looking a certain way. You know what I mean? And when you don't look that way, you are an outlier. And that's you just need to find other people and that's why the community and the social aspect and having a good network is so important, because there's only so many people that are going to understand that, and the average person is not going to understand that. And I hate to use the word average, but that's the way it is. When you actually look at it, it's like 1% of people actually get to the point where they can actually compete, like stage ready, lean, that type stuff. It's not, and actually might be lower than that, and we don't see that because we connect ourselves with so many people in the industry. We're just like,
it's a higher
to
percent.
us, to us, it's like, it's got to be like 30 or 40%, maybe 50.
And that's
but
what
it's
I mean
not.
by like the family. That's why it's like staying with our people, right? It's just because that's what gets me through it, because I know not everybody is going to understand. But then that's when I run to Maggie, I'll run to Katie, I'll run to you.
Yeah,
like,
vent it out, baby. Vent it out.
Like ground me.
Yeah, ground me. Exactly right. All right. So one last question, and this is advice that you would give to somebody, or like say a woman that's scared to start lifting. They want to start getting into it, but they're like afraid of all of the stigmas or whatever it may be. Is there advice that you would give to those women or females or girls or whatever it may be that might want to start a journey like this?
Well, I think as women in our middle age, like I'm in my 40s, I think our skeletal muscle mass is drastically going down as we get through our midlife. And I'm not interested in becoming frail and fragile. And because I work with the people in their 70s and 80s and their 90s every day for jobs, and they're falling and they're breaking shit. They're hunched over. I'm hoping that what I'm doing now is going to set a foundation for a healthy aging process. So, I mean, just from a medical perspective, not even about the aesthetic part of it. Like I'm
It's
looking
like
to
preventative measures.
Yes, I'm looking to stress my bones and my joints in a way that's going to make them more stable for me being able to be active and do the things that I want to do as I age.
It's that saying, if you don't make time for fitness, make time for illness.
Oh man, right.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
No.
You know?
Agreed. That is an absolutely solid reason
Yeah,
for
I
people to
think-
do it. But trying to tell a young person that exact thing is not going to be what they want to hear. They want to hear about the fun, fancy stuff.
That's right.
The
It's not
aesthetic.
sexy.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
They want to hear about the aesthetic and the, wow, you guys, this is great. This is like being on stage and, being at a pageant and things like that. So how do you take a young mind, for example, probably a young mind, and help them to form in the right direction versus the, completely falling off the deep end of like
With all these influencers,
food,
and not
eating disorder and all of the crap that could happen. I would encourage, and I've been tossing the idea around of trying to create like a support group that is not one of your social media groups. You know what I mean? Kind of like a group of all the girls that we know, all the girls that I meet, all the ones that you meet, and let's just have a way of connecting to each other so that there's a support group in place.
women's camp or something.
Something where we can just, go, we can just chat. Go
Yeah,
to
I think
this
it's a
one and
great
chat.
idea.
Go to that one and chat, and just chat and be like, I have a show coming up, or I had a show and I'm feeling like this, and I know you guys understand, and I just need to chat. You know what I mean? I would encourage someone who's looking to get into the sport and is worried about some of the things to find that group, whether it's
Because mentally,
people that you're meeting today, or
need
whether it's
that.
your friends that you already have.
Yeah.
Have a group of support that will help you manage the mental stress of things before, during, and after. And the after sometimes is more important than anything else.
Oh yeah, when you start to gain the weight back.
When a
I
woman
can't fit in these jeans anymore.
when a woman has been going through this process, and it's it's a very flattering thing when people come up to you and give you all kinds of compliments all the time, and all of a sudden you're in a smaller size clothes, and nowadays it's like selfie here and selfie there and post it and likes and all of that thing, and when you start to gain weight, all of that sort of trickles away, and the support is even more vital for a person who's feeling a little bit down on themselves for that reason. And I feel like that's extremely prevalent and probably very private, and people don't want to talk about that aspect of it because, again, not sexy.
Yeah, not. Yep.
And so, giving
the post show,
the type of things that giving the experience that we've had or that other people have had, and just be like, listen, this one's in the phase of show prep, and this one's in the phase of post show. Everyone has a different phase at a different time. It's not always show prep. It's not always that
walk
look.
around stage lean, like that's not realistic and it's not healthy.
Just a week after, my 1 week check-in with my coach after my show, I was like 10 pounds up.
Yeah.
And I was like, Coach, I feel fat.
And it's probably,
And she's
it's
like,
all
dude,
water.
it's prep brain. You're still in prep brain. And like, I just needed to hear her tell me, this is normal.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. You need to bounce those ideas off of other people to make sure that what you're feeling isn't like
is this valid?
as
right?
acute
Is
as what
this-
you feel like it
yeah.
is. And again, we can all get in our heads like
We
that.
spiral. We just spiral in our own
And there
minds. I do
are
it all
some
the time.
aspects of competing that will stick with you forever positively, and some that will stick with you forever negatively.
Right.
It's not always going to be all the good.
1000%.
Right.
Yeah,
That's so true.
I can agree with that. And also, if you are even getting to that point where you do lift or you are working on your nutrition, but like aesthetics seems to be like the main priority for you, just know that like if you stick to a training program or you stick to just eating right, the aesthetics are going to come with that.
Learning those
in
tools,
stages, right? Like
Do that, yeah.
it's how far do you want to push it, and we know that, so. But just if you're starting, and even if you just get to the basics, you're gonna do fine, and you're gonna look just fine. You know what I mean?
And I think just being consistent.
We overcomplicate it. Yeah.
And then when they
definitely do.
start to see the changes, I think that's when people get more like they're like,
yeah.
wow, and then
Yeah.
they get more invested into what they're doing.
Yeah,
and their health
absolutely.
and stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I love this chat. It was great. I
could go on for
I know we
hours.
could,
I know,
and that's why I
right?
have to stop because Maggie she's very, very busy. So we have to get her back to her clients.
I got a fitting.
She's got a fitting that she has to go to. So if people want to reach out or become inspired by you guys in some way, shape, or form, how can they find you guys? We'll start with you, Stacy.
Well, you can contact me on social media.
Okay.
So my last name is Roderick.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Maggie?
If anybody's interested
Yeah.
in a unique custom-made suit, Instagram for me is @Maggie_Suits.
Yep.
Facebook is Maggie Suits.
And I'm more than welcome. Bring your original ideas to me, and let's create something new.
Love it.
Nice.
Maggie's the best.
Thank you.
And then Katie, how about you?
At social media.
Yeah.
KTS Burnham.
Yeah.
Or just go find Chad.
Yeah. You can probably just go on my social media. You'll see her.
Find Chad.
I post more about her than she
More
posts
photos of
herself.
you on his, which makes sense.
I know. I get
the way
way
it
more
should
action
be.
when she's on my social media versus me.
I don't
I'm
post
old
a
now.
lot.
No.
Yeah, people don't want to see me anymore. They want to see her. Okay, so no, this is great. This was a great talk. So yes, no, I thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome.
We're gonna have a blast.
Thank you for having us.
And yeah, thank you for coming. And yeah, look forward. We should do this again.
Definitely.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us in the rack this week. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. You can also find us online at proformptma.com or on social media at proformptma. And remember, if you train inside the rack, you better be thinking outside the rack.